Mitsubishi certainly has had their struggles here in America. In fact, if it wasn't for the Outlander, this brand probably would have pulled out from America years ago. This week, they've sent me over the latest 2018 plug-in hybrid version. It's the least expensive way you can actually get into a plug-in hybrid SUV. So if you guys are looking for something like that, should you put this vehicle on your shortlist? That's what we're here to find out. So when the original Outlander came out in America back in 2007, it was an instant hit for Mitsubishi. I mean, come on, everyone in America wants an SUV, and a lot of people like the value quotient that Mitsubishi tends to offer with a lot of their vehicles. So when this third generation was first introduced back in 2013, it definitely was a vehicle that stood out in terms of its design. Mitsubishi has kind of given it some updates throughout the years. This particular front fascia we've seen just in the last year or so. This one being the plug-in hybrid does have its own unique touches. Now my tester is the top-of-the-line GT trim, so you have standard full LED headlights. We have an LED running light, LED low and high beams, LED fog lights. Only the turn signal is an incandescent. And then of course the grille kind of almost like looks like a version of the Lexus spindle grille to me. It's got that same kind of basic shape with all the chrome, with all the black accents. It's definitely unique, different. I like how actually Mitsubishi spells out Outlander on the hood. It's kind of a little bit like a Range Rover or a Ford Explorer in that regard. Now, this car is definitely a tweener in terms of its size. This is actually the biggest SUV that Mitsubishi offers, and they offer it with a third row, except for the actual plug-in version. Now, speaking of which, Mitsubishi won't let you forget it's a plug-in version because, I mean, this is probably one of the biggest badges I've seen for a plug-in hybrid. These wheels are also unique to the hybrid model. They're an 18-inch wheel and 225 series tires. The gas model will kind of have its own different set of wheels. Now, in terms of the size, at 105 inches long for the wheelbase and 185 inches long, this is bigger than something like a CR-V or a RAV4, about the same size as like a Nissan Rogue or a Volkswagen Tiguan. Those are the other compact SUVs that are a little bit bigger that offer a third row. Now, these little hybrid badges that you see on the side, they're actually extra. And honestly, it's a little gimmicky with all the hybrid badges. It's like 500 bucks extra. So my advice, just skip those goofy looking hybrid badges because you don't really need to let the world know that much. There's already plenty of plug-in EV badges all over this car. Now at the back, it has a very traditional SUV look, kind of a little minivan-ish from the rear at times. I actually see a lot of old Mitsubishi Lancer in the design with the rear taillights. These are LED combination taillights. Again, more PHEV badges. And then this particular one also added the clean air access vehicles that you kind of get on some of the California vehicles. Now, a power tailgate is also included on this trim, being the top of the line model. It's not a hands-free foot activated liftgate, unfortunately. And because of the batteries in this car, Mitsubishi had to shrink the cargo area. You're looking at around 30.3 cubic feet of space with the second row up. Again, no third row is available on the hybrid model. If you fold down the seats, Mitsubishi says you get around 78 cubic feet of space, which is actually at the top of the class, kind of showing that this is a little bit bigger. The hybrid batteries kind of live underneath the floor and underneath the rear seat. Now underneath here, you do have a little bit of storage where Mitsubishi also gives you, a standard 110 volt. This car is one of the few cars, or one of the few SUVs, if you follow me over here, where you come up to the charge port here. When you use the standard 110 volt, it takes around 12 hours to charge on a full battery. If you use a 240, it'll take about 3.5 hours. Now Mitsubishi says this is the only vehicle that comes with a level 3 quick charging port that allows you to basically get 80% charge in about 25 minutes. So that's definitely a plus if you guys have continuous access to something like that. So it's been a while since I've shown you guys a newer Mitsubishi product. Now thankfully, because this is their biggest SUV, this particular one with the plug-in does come with the company's smart key access system with push button start. You can see it's a very interesting looking key, different from the last Mitsubishi I drove. The key itself feels kind of light, a little bit on the flimsier side, but it has the lock unlock. It also has like a timer on off button where you can use in conjunction with the app to access the timing, the charging of this car via whether you want to turn it on or off. Now as you approach the Outlander, you can see here it's got a traditional looking door handle with an actual keyhole slot here And the actual button to lock the door is right here. It's a little bit cheap feeling, but I do like how the mirrors will electrically fold in on this trim. To unlock it, there's no sensor on the back of the handle. You have to touch the button again, and that will unlock the door for you. Now, the interior of this particular one is black with some contrasting stitching. It looks pretty decent at a glance, although something about it just feels a little bit dated. The seats especially look a little bit old. They look like they're from the early 2000 era. The shifter looks a little bit strange. The steering wheel, again, it looks like it came off of a Camry from 10 years ago. You do have, 8-way power seats right here, but no adjustable lumbar support and no two-person memory. But stepping inside, you can see it's got a very easy step in height in contrast with an SUV. And then when you shut the door, it sounds actually pretty solid when you shut the door, so I was really surprised by that. Now, to start the vehicle up, like other cars with push-button start, just put your foot on the brake, keep the key fob in here, and then push this button here to fire up all the electronics. The chime sounds pretty old. The head unit there is a little bit newer. I'll go into that in a second. And the gauges here look like they came off of a Subaru or a Toyota from, again, 5-10 years ago. So everything in here just kind of feels a little bit more old school. And if that's what you like, then, more power to you. Of course, this one being a plug-in hybrid model, there's no engine startup noise. Instead, it just kind of shows up. It says ready there in the little charge area right here. And then in terms of the materials, they're actually pretty decently solid. You have a soft touch graining material on this dashboard. There's some stitching here on the upper instrument panel hood. It is soft touch right here where your elbows would rest, and then it's also leather padded right here. There's a nice little storage area here for your phone where you can also access the door handle. The door handle itself is a chrome door handle here to open the door, and then the window is one touch automatic, up, down, express for only the driver's side, not for the front passenger or for any of the rear windows, not automatic down either. The mirrors you can see here, they're electrically folding if you push that button, which is included on this trim. And the buttons and switchgear, they do feel a little bit on the flimsier side, but I feel like I'm nitpicking there. The steering wheel, it's a nicely feeling steering wheel, actually. It's leather wrapped. It's got good bolstering extension. It's got aluminum paddles here that are actually mounted to the column. Mitsubishi is one of the few that actually do a really good job with the paddles. The steering wheel itself, it telescopes. Lots of buttons here on the steering wheel. This particular one having adaptive cruise control being the GT trim. Now, let's go over the head unit here because this is a newer-ish style head unit. It's not the newest one that Mitsubishi has in the Eclipse Cross, which I'll be showing you guys a review on later this month. But you can see here, going to the home screen here, it has all your usual sources. It's a touchscreen. It's a 7-inch touchscreen. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is included on this particular model. It's actually standard on the plug-in hybrid, optional on the lower trims. It's actually really nice. I was really surprised to find Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in this car, so it's a really great addition to this car, and it's great that Mitsubishi includes it as standard. There's no factory embedded navigation that I couldn't find. I thought this was it, but it's just showing where your GPS position. So instead, if you want to use the navigation, you have to go into the CarPlay and then pull up the Apple Maps right here, like so many other people would do anyways. So, I mean, that's kind of something that you have to get used to. The fact that they don't offer factory embedded nav is a little bit strange, but most people are kind of shying away from that. Now, the touchscreen itself is pretty quick. I like the response, although sometimes you can see here I'm trying to go to the right, and it's a little bit finicky with how you want to use it. But you can see here, going to your usual AM sources, or FM, AM, satellite radio. It's got your presets here. There's multiple presets you can actually set in this car, which is great. Especially if you guys like to have multiple of those. Now, when you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see here, it does have a 360 camera that's included on this particular GT trim. It has rear parking sensors, but not front parking sensors, but it's really nice that Mitsubishi includes that. The camera itself is a little bit grainy. It's nothing really super special, but at least they are trying with the technology there. Down here, you can see your dual zone climate control, good labeled buttons. You have a volume knob here, no tuning knob, however. Down here, you have more controls here for your power liftgate. You have heated steering wheel, which is included, your blind spot monitoring on-off switch, which is over here, and then an AC power outlet there, another cigarette lighter over there, or 12 volt. Down here you can see there's your cup holder. The lid itself feels a little bit on the flimsy side. It creaks a lot too, and I find it's a little bit difficult to actually close and shut when you're trying to do it quickly. This controls the 1-speed direct drive reduction gear transmission. The shifter itself looks strange. It's a little bit odd looking, but it actually works kind of like the Prius, where you kind of push up to go to reverse, go to the left here to go to neutral, and then pull back for drive. P, the park, is actually difficult to see when you're staring at the shifter at a glance. It's over here in front of it, so push that to go to park. A little bit of a strange design. Weird looking shifter. You have drive modes here where you can access the charge modes here, where you can make the engine recharge the battery. You can save the battery if you'd like. This locks the super all-wheel control into a 50-50 lock, which is nice. You have an electronic parking brake with a hold function, heated seats, but no cooled seats. Above you, there is a nice size standard sunroof, which is included. No pano roof is available. This little lid here is nice and softly padded, which is really great. And then you have 2 USB ports in there, a power outlet as well, a pretty good amount of storage, which is great. But overall, some competitors definitely offer you a little bit more. The glove compartment, it's a 2-tier size. It's not lined with felt, but it is damped. But overall, it's pretty pleasant. I mean, this interior definitely feels old, but it feels roomy. It has good visibility, and the seats are comfortable. So if you guys aren't looking for the most modern or avant-garde looking cabin, this one may actually surprise you. Now, as a family SUV, you expect the back seat to also be very usable, and this is where the Outlander kind of excels at that. I'm noticing the seat definitely sits up higher than a regular model because the batteries are underneath here, but there's a surprisingly good amount of legroom, good foot space. There's a nearly flat floor here. I'm surprised that I don't see rear seat vents back here. You do get a standard, household power outlet. And then the materials are actually hard touch plastic, which are a little bit lower than what you get in the front seats. The seat back and the cushion could use a little bit more thigh support. You can kind of adjust the angle of recline for this thing a little bit. And then the seats fold down, as you guys know. There's a nice little armrest here that folds down and gives you 2 cup holders. But I mean, overall, in terms of space for 2 people, maybe 3 in a pinch, this is definitely a pretty competitive vehicle. So under the hood of the plug-in hybrid Mitsubishi, there's a lot of plastic underneath here, as you expect, and then I'm trying to find the hood prop, which the hood itself is surprisingly heavy, so that's something I feel like they could probably reduce the weight on this thing. Now, what you're looking at is a combination of powertrains with a plug-in hybrid. The gas engine that you see over here is actually a 2-liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine. It makes a pretty paltry 117 horsepower and 137 pound-feet of torque. That's less power than what you get in the base model without the hybrid. Now, this right here, there's actually 2 electric motors in this car. There's a front electric motor that's 60 kilowatts, and there's also a rear electric motor that's also 60 kilowatts that drives the rear wheels. That's how you get the all-wheel drive system. The gas engine is only attached to the front wheels. Now, combined, if you combine the 2 motors, you're getting around 197 horsepower, which is actually not bad outputs, although I'm surprised that the gas engine is so small and so not powerful at all. I was hoping Mitsubishi would give us a little more power from there. But fuel economy, the gas engine on its own is rated at 25 miles per gallon combined. That's actually 1 mpg lower than what you get in the non-hybrid version, so that's interesting. Mitsubishi rates the electric motor at 74 mpge. That really doesn't mean much to you. However, it is lower than a lot of the competitors. You're going to get around 22 miles of electric-only range, and because this car has a shrunken gas tank at 11 gallons, it only gives you about 300 miles of gas range. Now, this car is also heavier because of all the batteries. It weighs around 4,200 pounds, about 400 pounds heavier than the gas-only model. So let's get out on the road and see how it performs. So I actually haven't had a chance to drive this generation Outlander, and remember, this is the company's best seller. This is what essentially saved a Mitsubishi. So the all-electric plug-in version, whatever, let's see how it feels off the line. Okay. So like a lot of other EVs, there's plenty of torque off the line. With electric motors, there's just instant torque. As soon as you slam the accelerator, it literally shoves me back into the seat. And I can actually feel the seat shifting a little bit in its seat track as I bang the seat. It actually wiggles a little bit, so that's not a really great initial quality feeling there. But this car feels appropriately quick off the line, and unlike a lot of Toyota hybrids, it has the ability to drive on electric power alone, which is why it has a single-speed reduction gear. It feels very similar to the Honda hybrids that I've driven, where it's really torquey off the line, and then the gas engine will kind of come in and mostly just recharge the battery, and then assist when you demand full throttle accelerations. Now, with the gas engine being only a 2-liter and 117 horsepower, it doesn't have much top-end pull, which I'm going to demonstrate as we get on the interstate. Now, as my foot goes down about 3/4 throttle, the gas engine will come on, and it sounds like a typical hybrid CVT system, even though it doesn't have a CVT. The gas engine itself, it's just drony, it's whiny, it doesn't really add any more power. What I feel is a lot more of the electric motor taking over. I mean, when you've got 2 electric motors at 60 kilowatts each, they're pretty powerful electric motors. I mean, this thing nearly has 200 horsepower. The gas engine, to me, doesn't really seem like it wants to actually add any power. It's mostly just the electric motor, and then that thing will just kind of recharge the battery. Now, getting out on the interstate here at highway speeds, as an SUV, you expect this to be a comfortable driving car, and it is. It's a very softly sprung car. This is not sporty in any means, which is fine. It's going to make for a really great daily driver. The ride is really cushy. It's really floaty. The steering is numb, doesn't offer any feedback. I can literally do this. It doesn't actually do anything really. So it's, you know, a pretty uninspiring car to drive, but you know, if you don't really care about the drive, you just want it to be comfortable. This thing is nice. It sits up nice and high. It has a good, comfortable ride. It has really great visibility, good sight lines, big side mirrors. You have all the driver assistance, although I will say that Mitsubishi's lane departure warning is not active. It just kind of will beep annoyingly as I cross the line here. It tells me lane departure. It doesn't actually steer. And then the adaptive cruise control in this car actually works pretty well. It comes to a full stop, but it won't hold you there. As soon as it comes to a stop, it'll let go and it'll tell you to basically take control of everything. But you can see here, just cruising along at 65 miles an hour. It's relatively quiet in here. I do hear some wind noise and some road noise, so some of the competitors are definitely a little bit better in that regard. And this car also feels bigger than most of the compact SUVs. I mean, at 185 inches long pretty much, it's a few inches longer than, you know, things like a CR-V or a RAV4. This is about the same size as a Volkswagen Tiguan, which makes this thing feel a little bit more minivan-like from time to time, but it's one of the reasons why Mitsubishi offers a third row in this car, just like the Rogue, which is bigger, just like the Tiguan, which is bigger. Both of those competitors also offer a third row, but you can see here just kind of going along, putting your foot down. The passing power is decent, and thankfully the gas engine doesn't really make itself too noticeable. It's just really sluggish. At highway speeds, if you're trying to pass someone on the highway, you really have to plan for the actual maneuver because this thing just doesn't have much power. You know, for passing, it's just really quick off the line, which is kind of what you expect. But you know what? The seats are comfortable. As I said earlier, the sight lines are good. So, I mean, this is a pleasant driving SUV that actually kind of surprises me. You can tell that Mitsubishi is really trying to kind of improve their image, make their cars a little bit more upscale. I'm really looking forward to driving the new Eclipse Cross, which I'll be getting again at the later end of this month for a week to test. And I'll be doing a full review for that for you guys. Now, I will say for this car having a cushy ride quality, I am noticing as it hits some bumps, it's a little bit bouncy, a little bit bumpy. You can feel the body move a lot and everything just kind of shakes. So the structure itself doesn't feel as solid as I'd like it to. I mean, this car came out back in 2013, so it doesn't surprise me. And Mitsubishi is a little bit behind in the time. So in terms of the chassis stiffness, it's not right up there with the competition. And when you start going on some off-ramps here, lots of soft suspension with plenty of body lean and numb steering, and you're just going to be going slow as you go around some off-ramps. So just keep that in mind. This is a more relaxed car. There are definitely competitors like the new CR-V, the CX-5, even the Volkswagen Tiguan that just feel considerably more sporty to drive and handle better. Oh God. My foot's to the floor here. Come on. Wow, this thing is slow. This thing is really slow, but it feels like it gets to 60 in around a little over 10 seconds. But God, that gas engine, it's kind of like sort of screaming. The electric motors need a little bit more torque. I'm surprised Mitsubishi's not using the bigger 2.4 liter gas engine that they have in the regular Outlander, the gas only model. It could use more horsepower from the gas engine to assist you with getting up to highway speeds. But acceleration's not necessarily as important with a vehicle like this. How about the fuel economy? Well, this car is rated at 25 miles per gallon combined for the gas engine, 74 mpge, which is how the electric motor kind of uses up energy in the battery system. Now, those numbers are definitely below the class. The gas engine actually gets worse fuel economy than the gas-only version with the 2.4, which gets like 26 miles per gallon combined. The V6 version of this car gets like 23 miles per gallon combined. So Mitsubishi's fuel economy is not great for this version. Now, you do get 22 miles of electric-only range. I was pretty much able to get about 20 miles of range only on this car, so it's not fantastic. It is better than something like that BMW 740e that I had last month, which was like 14 miles per gallon, or 14 miles of range only. But what they really did that annoyed me is they shrunk the gas tank of this car to 11 gallons, which is 5 gallons smaller than the gas-only model. So the gas range is only like 300 miles, which makes this thing feel thirstier than it actually is. But Mitsubishi had to shrink the gas tank because they needed space to put the 12 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion batteries in this car. But I mean, overall, I probably would just say stick with the gas-only model, unless you guys have a commute that's under 20 miles, because you're still going to be using the the gas engine from time to time, which actually is less efficient, and you have less range versus the gas only model. Now, in my weeks for the testing, the gas engine didn't really come on much. I was able to pretty much just recharge this thing at night, use the electric only plug-in range, but I did average around 24 miles per gallon because it did use some gas, so I was able to fill it up and then test that out. But I mean, overall, as a plug-in hybrid, it's nice to see Mitsubishi is offering something like this, and you do get that $5,600 tax credit, which does lower the price considerably. So this is still one of the least expensive ways you can get into a plug-in hybrid SUV. So I have to admit, when Mitsubishi first dropped off the Outlander plug-in hybrid vehicle at my doorstep, I was a little skeptical at first. This is a car that I didn't really have too high of expectations for, considering where Mitsubishi's position is here in the US market. But after spending a week with this model, I'm pleasantly surprised with how usable, how comfortable, and how easy it is to live with. As you guys saw from the review, it's got plenty of interior space, it's got comfortable seats, it's got pretty decent tech on the inside. And when you look at the driving dynamics, as long as you're not looking for the sportiest driving crossover and you're okay with a structure that doesn't ride quite as well as some of the newer offerings, some of the more stiffer offerings, you're probably going to find a lot to like with this vehicle. So if you guys are looking for one of the least expensive ways to get into a plug-in hybrid vehicle and happens to be an SUV with standard all-wheel drive, what's it going to cost to put the Outlander plug-in hybrid in your driveway? Well, the regular Outlander starts at $24,000, which is actually pretty inexpensive. One of the cheapest ways you can get into an SUV with 3 rows. The plug-in version is about $12,000 more expensive if you guys want to go for that. However, if you kind of compare the apples to apples with the trim level, Mitsubishi technically charges only about $6,000 more for the plug-in version. And then don't forget, if you guys want to purchase one of these, you also get a $6,000 tax credit from the federal government, which does help lower the price. Now, this car starts at $35,000 for the base SEL. This one has a GT trim, includes all the driver assistance, the LED headlights and stuff like that, the 360 camera. This one stickers for a tick over $42,000, minus those silly little stickers, which would get it under 41, which I know is a lot of money, but if you factor in that tax credit, you're looking at mid $30,000 range. So if you guys are looking for an SUV with the plug-in capability, this one should definitely be at the top of your list. But I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2018 Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video. I'll try and include it in the shot.
All right, I'm ready when you are. I can't hear the
So under the hood of the Outlander PHEV, damn it, PHEV Outlander hybrid, okay.